and never went back to a consulate ever again.
Oh, okay. So, what do you mean by a immigrant profile? If someone is rejecting you based on immigrant profile, that means like your profile was extremely good.
In a way, yes, because when I went for this interview itself, so I have a bachelor's in computer science, I have an MBA in finance, and I had worked for Amazon for a couple of years. I've started two companies and I had two exits.
Mhm.
So I had a very strong profile and I had six admits, four scholarships. So I walked with a lot of arrogance. Like, hey, it cannot happen to me. I'm like extraordinary. That's the attitude you walk in with, and then they just humble you, saying what you thought as the pro in your profile is the con as well. So we feel you're too strong to be a student in the US.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So coming back to your third interview, you said it was like 30 minutes. What did they ask for like 30 minutes? My interview was like 1.5 minutes max.
I think you should ask the other way around. What is that they didn't ask? They asked everything. I think they got to know more about me than my parents. Like he kept asking about every small thing from my hobby to the football team in that college.
Okay.
They asked me everything, and the college team was called as the Huskies, and I was telling them, hey, it's the team is called Huskies. It's a dog breed, and it's pretty famous there. And the most interesting question was the final question. He asked me, he told me a code. It's called OMIS 615. And he said, what is this? I said, OMIS 615 is computer network engineering. And I may not even take that paper. It's an elective. And he just, that is when he took a second and was like, are you sure that this is the subject? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that is the subject because by then I knew everything about the department, the college, the website. I think he anything he would have asked, I would have answered. But but that's exactly what happened. In 30 minutes, I think they know everything about me.
So most students usually switch their universities on concurrent visa interviews. Was there a reason you stuck with NIU?
It was the cheapest.
Oh, but
I was sponsoring my education myself, and of all the ones that I saw there, all the ones that I had as options, NIU was actually one of the very good university and the most affordable one, and also. When it comes to MIS in Illinois at that point in time, NIU had the best course. It was the highly ranked one. So I really wanted to do it there.
got it, got it.
And I
How
wanted to see snow.
fair, yeah, fair. How long was your course?
Yeah, it's 2 years. I didn't take 2 years. I took a year and a half to complete. So I started in August of 2017 and graduated in 2019.
Got it, got it, got it. How was those 1.5 years for you? Because like you had been working for a while and this was again you had to go back to study. How was that?
I think the biggest difficulty is I completely stopped the art of writing. I haven't wrote anything in 5 years. So because once you stop going to college and schools, you don't write anymore, right? You're using a laptop for everything. And I haven't wrote anything in life for like 5 years. And suddenly, like, hey, I'm going back to a college and being there on time, assignments, test, test preps was was the biggest change. And but it was a very I genuinely loved it because I don't know how many people have this experience in life, but once you graduate college and start working, you envy, hey, good old college days. And then suddenly the dream comes to you, dream comes to reality that you can go back and be in a college. Man, I just had a ball. Like 1.5 years, it was like I never bothered about studying. I was like, hey, I'm gonna have fun for the next year and a half. That was my goal, and that's how it was.
Amazing, amazing. So the biggest achievement for like all of us right now is like you got a product manager job at IBM directly after graduating. How did you get that? Because that's a dream for like almost everyone here.
I think I think it fundamentally boils down to being very rigid and audacious about uh, something that you want in life. Okay. So when I did my masters, my goal was, hey, I did it in MIS on business AI in business, and then I was like, hey, I'm gonna start working, and I will work as a product manager. I'm not
Mhm.
going to do any other job. And what I did was, in my last semester, I wantedly blocked one credit out and came to California and took that one credit as a project. So I moved to California in January of 2019, and I know I'm graduating in May of 2019. So for the next 6 months, my only goal was, hey, I'm going to find a job, and that job is going to be a product manager role. And to even be more specific, I only wanted to work in San Francisco.
Mhm.
So all I do every day was get up in the morning, start applying for jobs available in San Francisco in product management. That's it. And very funny. I I'm a very big believer in data. In general, everything boils down to numbers for me. And at that point in time, the probability, or like the numbers that I was reading was, hey, there's if the probability of somebody finding a job through a job board application is 0.002%. So which means if you apply for 1,000 jobs, you should get two jobs. That's what number says. And my goal was, hey, I'm going to apply 1,000 jobs. That's
Nice.
it. And I actually got my offer when I was around 700. So the law of average did work.
Nice. So before getting your final offer, how many interviews did you give?
At least 100.
Damn.
So I came here, though I moved to Bay Area in January of 2019. By about December of 2018, I started, giving interviews. And I started applying for at least two months prior. So from October of 2018, I started applying already,
Mhm.
and three times between October to December, companies flew me from Illinois to the Bay Area for interviews. So I've once there was a company called um, it's a banking company. It's a banking firm. I forgot the name of it. They flew me once here, and then Amazon flew me once to the Bay Area, and then Jewel. Okay. They flew me once to the Bay Area. So I had my initial rounds with them, and then for the final rounds, they fly you here. So by December of 2018, I had already flown. I already flew three times to the Bay Area to give interviews,
Oh.
and that is how it was. And like I said, I hit the 700 mark by around the April.
So how many offers did you have? You had IBM. Did you have any other offers?
IBM was my second offer. I had another startup that gave me an offer,
Got
but by the time I joined IBM, because it takes about 3 weeks, right, of all the
it.
paperwork and things like that. By then, I had over four offers. So
Got
I had an IBM offer. I had a Jewel, the company that flew me in December. They gave me an offer right around April as well. And then there was two startups, and oh yeah, technically I had five offers. There's another company as well, which was a YC startup at that point in time that gave me an offer as well.
So, RK, my question here is how do you navigate the rejection? So, you got rejected twice during your visa interview, you got rejected from at least like 96 other interviews. How do you have that ability to keep going till you get an offer?
I think it's the attitude, right? When it comes to things like this, it's like, hey, I have a certain skill set. Okay. Somebody is going to definitely want it. And just not this company.
Mhm.
And generally, I'm the sort of person who doesn't take a rejection very close to heart and dwell over it too much. Yes, it hurts. I think the biggest stinker of all was Meta. Okay,
Mhm.
at that point in time, it's Facebook, right? Um, it's so funny. Everything was done with Facebook, and two managers were interested at the same time. And because two managers were interested at the same time, they were like, "Hey, we need time."
Mhm.
Uh, and literally, like, because of that, I did not get an offer. I was like, dude, I did so well. And then they have this manager around because Facebook and Google has a very different way of recruiting people, where in which all your rounds gets over, you get selected. Then they will have a series of managers who will interview you. Okay, to
Mhm.
see which team is the best fit. And when I went there, I had multiple managers that I spoke to in one day. I think I spoke to like six of them, and two of them were interested. And because there was two of them interested, they were like, "Hey, we need one more round." And it took multiple months for them to set up that round. By then, I already had an offer with IBM. But that was one place where I felt a little sad. I was like, "Hey, I did well." And the problem is, I did well.
So, okay, that's very interesting. Like, because most of us, we all have faced rejection in this current job market, and if we want to keep going, then we don't have to take rejection at our heart. We need to understand, okay, like if this company rejects us, then there might be four other companies which would be better for us.
Absolutely. I think given everything said, IBM was like match made in heaven because when I was joining IBM, everybody, including myself, thought, "Hey, IBM is a old man company." Okay. I don't know another friend who works for IBM, and I've spent about 5 months in Bay Area at that point in time. Most of them, no, I don't know another person who works for IBM, and I just applied to IBM through LinkedIn. That's it. It's not even like somebody referred me, nothing like that. And when I walked inside the company, and everybody gives you that viewpoint saying, "Hey, if you walk into IBM, everybody's going to be in the 40s." Okay, but when I walked into the companies where I realized everybody were in their 60s. Like I got in there, and the most funniest thing is there were two people who started on the same day. Okay, me and there's another person called Alan Drummer. Okay, he's still a very close person. Alan Drummer is 64. Okay. And we are both getting onboarded on the same day. He was getting onboarded on the content team. I'm getting onboarded on the product team. But, and Alan Drummer reports to me.
That's hilarious.
Uh, but that's IBM for you. And once I walked inside, I realized age is actually just a number. People treat you with so much of respect. People give a lot of importance to what you bring onto the table,
Mhm.
and that's something that I learned from IBM like never before. Because everywhere else, you're working with people of your age or your sort of skill set and things like that, right? But with IBM, it was very different. I was Everybody whom I was working alongside with are like 20 years, 30 years elder to me, and people who report to me are also 20, 30 years elder to me. At some point, IBM was adding a lot more people in the 20s and 30s to start upping their AI game. So
Mhm.
2019 is where they went and acquired Red Hat. So this new gen people who joined at that point in time, we were the one who was taking care of this onboarding and acquisition and everything else at that point in time. It was one hell of an experience. I loved it.
So you loved IBM. I'm assuming you made high six figures. How did you or why did you decide to leave IBM and start your own business?
Good question. I think w- um, with IBM, yes, I did make good number. Okay, and they make you feel like I didn't even realize it's been 2 years since I joined IBM. But I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and when I moved to US as well, okay, my goal was to be an entrepreneur. and I wanted to educate myself around AI so I can up my game towards AI and become an AI entrepreneur. That's it. And once I joined IBM, once you feel comfortable, right? When I had spent about a year and a half, I had saved a little bit of money, and then I started co-working on an idea and launched a startup with another couple of friends of mine, and that is when the reality hit me, which is I got my H1B picked in 2019 October.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 2020 April. And 2020 October is where the H1B kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
And the startup was launched around May of 2020. And that's when I realized once you have a H1B, you cannot work on an idea yourself because that's called dual employment.
Mm-hmm.
Till the point you're an OPT, it gives you a little more leverage,
Yeah.
leeway. But once you join, once you have a H1B, it becomes a dual employment and you cannot do it. So after launching a startup, raising $2 million in funding, I, I had to step out of that company just because of my immigration status.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized, hey, I have to solve my immigration problem first. Then that's the trigger point, and that's when I decided to start working on it. And leaving IBM was a step towards that. I wanted to go and join a startup at that point in time, which can help me to build my overall profile in the country. So it helps me with my immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Then after which I can pursue my dreams in the country.
Got it, got it. So let's say I'm a student, I just came to the US, I have this big startup idea in mind. How would I navigate that? Like, how would I navigate my visa status? What should I do? Like, just give me like 4 or 5 steps that I should do after I complete my university.
I think uh, it's a great question, right? If I'm a student today, if I could go back and do everything back again, the one thing that I would do different is I happen to know about immigration challenge after spending about a year and a half after my graduation. If I
Yeah.
had known that on the day I landed here, okay, I actually would have had my immigration sorted by around 2020 rather than 2023 or 2022.
Mhm.
So for a student who's walking in today, I'll be like, hey, how do I get my immigration quicker and quickly sorted? And what are my different options? So first thing is to understand what are your different options. Hey, there's a H1B, yes, which is a regular route, but there's also O1.
Mhm.
It gives you that leverage of being able to be a founder of your own company. These days, H1B also lets you do that, but there are certain blockers there, bottlenecks there, because H1B comes with a wage determination. Okay. And it still is a gamble, right? Still, it has to go through a lottery process. O1 is not. O1 is where you say, hey, I have a certain ability, okay, that makes me a top talent in the space, and so I get to be in a different type of visa.
Mhm.
Okay. So I would build my profile towards an O1, and from an O1, I will build it towards an EB1. So my green card journey of being a permanent resident in the country is a much quicker process than like, as of today, if somebody is trying an EB2, I think it's 100-year problem. So it's no more like 10 years, 20-year problem, it's 100-year problem. So I would get those things sorted, because once you get those things sorted, it gives you that freedom to just be yourself. Because that's something that I found with a lot of people, leave even becoming an entrepreneur, right? A lot of people don't want to even work at times. They're like, hey, I want that 6 month break in life. I
Mhm.
don't want to be forced to find a job within 90 days. I don't want to be told what I need to be doing. I just want that little bit of gap so I can figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So those are the type of things that'll get that you need to be solved for you to be able to land up there. So now answering your question, if I'm a student who's coming today, I'm going to be like, hey, by the time I'm done with my college, how am I eligible? How should I make sure I'm preparing today? So by the time I'm done with my college, I'm eligible for an O1. And by the time I'm 2 years in my O1 or a year into my O1, I'm eligible for an EB1. So
Mhm.
it gives me the freedom. just to be myself without relying on a system which is normalized across the spectrum to help me out.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And then, okay, how would you, first of all, like, there are two things which are very important in a startup. Number one, for me, number one would be finding your co-founders. Number two would be idea. So how
Mhm.
would you find co-founders in the US if you are a student? And let's
Mhm.
say you have worked for for an oven, you have your oven now. How would you approach the networking part of it?
Okay, very good questions, right? Number one, let me answer one question at a time. How do you find an idea, and how do you find a co-founder? See, everybody has a different way of digesting informations and coming up with ideas. So I there's no one one solution, one t-shirt size that fits everybody.
Yep.
Okay. But what I do for myself is this: any idea that I had ever worked on so far, it is a challenge that I've had personally. Okay. And I'm able to overcome the challenge, number one. And I work backwards to see if I can provide a scalable solution of that specific item. If I'm able to do that, then I'm like, hey, it's a problem for sure. I'm able to build a solution for the problem. Great. And it's a scalable solution.
Hmm.
If all three works, then I'm like, hey, that's a good idea to pursue. So that's something that I had done with each and every single one of my ideas. So every startup that I had ever worked on, the basic funders is this, which is, hey, here's my problem, here's the solution, and I can scale this solution for 1 million people.
Hmm.
And I'll be able to do that. Then that's an idea worth pursuing. Yeah.
Got it.
So that's the answer for the first question. The second question, how do you find your co-founder? Finding a co-founder is I'll put it in some relative terms, right? It's like finding a soulmate. A lot of people go wrong here, right? People think like finding a co-founder like dating somebody. Like, hey, I got impressed with that person, so I get on a date with them, and in 6 months you fall apart. That's not how finding a co-founder has to be. Finding a co-founder has to be like, hey, I'm soulfully connected to the person. Like you you have that person on the good, bad, ugly side of things in life. I have my co-founder Nikin, and it's very funny. Me and Nikin had never met in person before becoming co-founders. We met in person uh, only after like about 6 months of us working together, and we actually did our first $1 million by then. We were celebrating that, and that's when we met in person. And there has never been a day I haven't talked to Nikin. Like never. From the day we started speaking till today, like even before this call, I spoke to him. Like that's how much we communicate. And and do we have problems between us? Absolutely, we do have problems. Do we yell at each other? Absolutely. Okay. But we don't have an ego about it. Number
Mm.
one. Number two of finding a good co-founder is looking for a skill set that you don't have. You know, my skill set is, let's say, I'm a very data oriented guy. I have a technically strong backend, but
Mhm.
I'm amazingly good at sales. So, and scaling. So I can scale problems, so scale solutions. I have an AI or data driven approach to finding solutions, and I don't have an ego about the lot of things that I do. Right now, my co-founder is an amazing guy in operations, so he has a completely different skill set to me.
Mhm.
So which complements each other.
Yeah.
The problem comes if you try to find the same person, right? Let's say if you're a developer, you don't want another developer to be a co-founder. You want that other co-founder to be a marketing person.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just to add one more answer that you did not ask is, since I had done multiple startups, in any startup, if you're looking at building a big scalable business out of it, you should be able to build your core product and service, and be able to do the sample audience, serve it to the sample set of audience just within the core team. That is how you set up your core team. If you're able to do that, you're good. The moment you have to rely on an external support to
Mhm.
get to your MVP, then there's a problem. So that's how I would envision what a what an idea selection would be, a co-founder selection would be, and a core team to be.
Got it. That's very insightful. You said that you also raised like $2 million for your first startup. How does one go around that? Like, how would you approach investors? First of all, where do you find them? How do you approach them? How do you pitch them?
Oh, I think the 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 most important skill set a lot of people lack is perseverance and being optimistic. So when it came to the startup, me and my other co-founder at that point in time, all we did was built a big long list of all the investors in the Bay Area, and we cold emailed each and every one of them. Cold email. Like we have no clue who that person is. They have no clue who we are. We wrote a nice write-up, gave all the deck, everything, and started reaching out to every one of them. And like I said, for a start, right, I believe in numbers. If the conversion there was not even 0.002, it was more around 0.001. Uh, So the goal is to be able to reach out to about 1,000 people to get some funding, which is not friends and family. See, friends and family will do it, right? I always knew like, hey, I could raise a couple of $100,000 between friends and family, but I really wanted some external money to work in. So, which means we started reaching out to one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, and then somebody, and we generally have a tracker in each of the emails, so we know if they opened the email. So we automated, okay, somebody opened it. So which means they have some interest. So we send a follow-up email. They open the follow-up email. We send one more follow-up email. So that is how we did it. And we also started approaching a lot of incubators. Uh, because we were able to generate revenue on the idea, so we did about $100,000 in about 3 months on the first idea. So since were able to get certain traction as well, a lot of incubators were ready to meet us. So the first set of fund came through an incubator called Village Global.
Mm.
They gave us like about 250. So they are the first one to invest, and then things
Mhm.
started falling into place. See, once your lead investor falls in, your first investment comes in, then it's just about sustaining that, because they're going to give you their connections as well. They're like, hey, these guys are giving results, and they're going to be like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of people. Go try pitching it, and also the other most important thing is the networking.
Mhm.
Like every day, any event in the Bay Area, me and the core team would go and attend it. We'll be like, hey, we're doing this, we're making this money, here's a card. So like I said, right, it's almost like giving interviews. You should be ready to get yelled at. You should be ready to get kicked out of certain places, but at some point it's going to happen.
Yeah, got it. Uh, my next question would be, I don't know if you have scaled up product startup like a consumer startup. I know you have
Mhm.
scaled a service-based startup, and that's the most difficult thing to scale. So let's say if I want to start a service-based
Mhm.
company in 26, how would I go
Mhm.
around that and how would I figure out the scaling part of it? Because that's like almost impossible.
So when it comes to services, right? But true, most of my other companies in the past, at least two of them were products. So it's easy to sort of scale the products because it's a tech debt that needs to be looked at. Services is a very different industry altogether, right? Or different pain altogether. Even today, I there are days I would just go to the team and just try to scare them. Like I'm irritated certain days. Certain days I'm so chilled out. Like some things are happening. I'll tell you the challenge with the services company, and then I'm going to tell you how to do it. The challenge with the services company is when things are working fine, you don't know why they're working fine. Okay. When things are not working fine, you don't know why they're not working fine. It's tough to point out. it's easy to play a blame game in a service firm, which is not the case in a product firm. In a product firm, if you're not performing, you will know which part of is not performing because it's product. It tells you, hey, there is a drop off happening at this point in time. There's an attrition point here. The click through rate is so low here. That's the reason why people drop off. On a services firm, there's nothing, right? You can be like, sales team can be like, hey, marketing is not giving me leads. Marketing team can be like, hey, yeah, the influencer campaigns are not working, and the market is very light at this point in time. So it's easy to sort of put the blame on the other person, to the other person, to the other person. But going back to on scaling a service firm, like I said, I'm going to go back to the most basic fundamentals, which is the core team should be able to deliver it to the
Mm.
clients. So when we launched this company in 24,
Yeah.
okay, it was just me and my co-founder, two people. And then the first employee was hired in May of that year. So we launched it around February, and May is the first employee. By the end of the year, we had over 30 employees. By end of this year, last year, 25, we had over 60 employees. Uh, And probably this year, we might hit 100 employees. I mean, that would be the the milestone. But going back to the fundamentals, when we had our first employee recruited, between me and my co-founder, we used to manage over 40 clients.
Mm-hmm.
I think over even 50 clients. That's when we hired the first employee. And when we hired our second employee, we already hit 100 clients. That's when we hired the second employee. And then, so that is the tipping point in a service company. You would think, hey, so you need two people to run 50 people, three people to run 100 people. So the ratio has to be for 150 people, you need four. No, for 150 people, you need 12, because now you have to build a system. So that is where running a service firm is very different from a product firm. Because in a service firm, when scaling happens, there is going to be threshold. You don't scale from 1 to 2 to 2 to 4. No, you scale from 1 to 2, and you scale from 2 to 15,
Mm-hmm.
and from 15 you're scaling to 40. Yeah, because that is how you build a system. Everything needs to be automated. Everything has to be systemized, because you're anticipating volume. Yeah. Unless you build the system, you cannot handle the volume. You cannot be like, hey, let the volume come in and I'll build the system. Because when the volume comes in and you don't have a system, then the volume, one bad review and you're done.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference between running a product firm and a service firm.
Got it. Got it. What would be one advice that you would give to a buzzing entrepreneur who is in the US, apart from sorting out their immigration? What should be the first thing that they should pursue?
US is still the biggest market. Yeah. US is there is you can still be a nobody, a nomad. Okay, come to this country and build something and be very successful. I think my biggest advice for a budding, aspiring entrepreneur is to believe, like, just be adamant that, hey, this is going to work. When I when I left my job, I'm taking myself as an example, so it's easy to explain. When I left my job in 2023, my package was close to about 800,000. It
Mhm.
was not an easy decision. And I had saved over like 2.5 years at that point in time. In 8 months, February of 24, I'm at negative 180, 200. Like, I'm negative. I cannot get more money in my credit cards. Okay. This is 24. But 26, okay, I think the company has done phenomenally well. Touch it. Yeah. so so it is the curve. It is very easy to give up, okay, in that phase. where I'd spent close to $500,000 or like $1 million, especially because it's a service company. You're trying out a lot of ideas because I tried two, three ideas before landing on one. So which means you're burning so much money without getting any returns.
Mhm.
You know, being able to be adamant and saying, hey, I am going to do it. Okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel and trusting on your abilities. That is the um, um, biggest um, advice to anybody. If you think you're going to make something work out, believe in it. But at the same time, don't be insane. Like I had a threshold for myself. I was like, hey, if I don't make things work by August of 24, okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to stop this, go and start working for a Google or an Amazon. So I can pay off my debt and get back to my life. So I had my threshold
Yeah.
uh, because I gave myself a year. I said, 1 year, I'm going to just pursue being an entrepreneur. And things started falling into place on the 10th month. 3 more months, I think I would have given it up because that's how much threshold I had. So, so create that vision for yourself. Hey, I'm going to give myself 1 year. For some people, it can be 1 year. For some, it could be 3 months. For some, it could be 18 months, 24 months. But create that vision for yourself and pursue it. Be adamant about it. And it and if things work, it'll just work. It's magical.
Uh, I think, I mean, that's very interesting because again, 24, you were negative in 20. That's interesting. I mean, if I were to go negative ever, I would stop. Like I would just go back to work. So it's that mindset shift as well that you have to have. That okay, you have to start believing in your abilities because there is a curve coming. Yeah, that's very interesting. Nice.
It's a belief system, right? You should believe in yourself. Like I said, I yes, I do believe in data, and but also I'm a very big believer in positive affirmations in life. And sometimes even my parents find it funny. Like sometimes I'm insanely adamant about things, saying, hey, if I'm going to make it work, I'm going to make it work. You know? Yeah, somebody has to like throw me out and tell me, hey, that's not going to work. And still, if I get like this chance, I'll still go back and be like, hey, maybe it'll work.
Nice. Is there anything that you regret with your entrepreneurship journey?
Is there anything that I regret with my entrepreneurship journey? Very interesting. I think looking back, they say, I think, I don't know if you've read this or watched this video of Steve Jobs connecting the dot backwards. If you connect the dots backwards, everybody finds flaws in their life, right? As much as positive things you find, you're going to find a few flaws in your life as well. But I have a very interesting take about life as a whole, which is every year in the first Jan first, everybody has affirmations and things, right? I don't do affirmations, but I'll always think saying, hey, would I trade today for last year? Okay, so if to I'm on 2026 Jan 1st, would I trade today for last year? So if 2 years are coming that way, right, then it's a problem.
Mm,
That's my goal in life. I don't think given a choice today, I would trade it for last year. Given a choice last year, I don't think I would trade it for a year before that. Even the year that I was a negative, I still was able to sort of come out of it. So answering your question, are there things I could have done differently in my entrepreneurial journey? Absolutely. But will I cry about it? Absolutely not.
that's fair. Yeah.
Absolutely not. I think the only thing that I would have done if I could have done different is if I knew more about immigration before I came to the US, maybe the same firm would be 10x now.
Yeah.
That was there. So which has a lot to do with me not understanding the space here. But on the flip side, I cannot feel bad about it because I'm not expected to know.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what is immigration till I came to this country. I don't even know what a visa interview is. So, I'm not expected to know. So I'm going to cut that slack for myself.
Correct. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. RK, this was amazing. I think all of us learned almost everything that we need to go and start building our $1 million startup. This was like very, very helpful and very positive for all of us because I have been in the US and I have thought about it. I have tried to do things, and for me, it has been very confusing, first of all, and second of all, very scary. I have a student loan. How do I pay that off first? Then, should I start worrying about that? Oh, I also have a job offer. Should I just take the safe option? But yeah, this gave me a lot of perspective. I think it gave all of us a lot of perspective. So, thank you for this.
Thanks for such kind words, Anushka. And you are somebody who's inspiring a lot of people, right? You know, I sometimes even feel that the one thing that I haven't done is I've never sort of been able to give back on things that I have known or learned. And after speaking with people like you over the last few months is where even I started saying, "Hey, I'm going to share more on my for more from my side on how I could communicate better to people of whatever I know, or how to be more accessible to people, or else being an entrepreneur, you're like very siloed in your day to day. I work like mad dog for like 100 hours a week sort of person, but now I'm taking that time back at least to be able to give back to people. And the first time I ever knew about you was through one of such videos. I randomly was scrolling and I saw one of your videos and I was like, oh, that is interesting. I never knew this. And that's exactly my first step towards you itself. So you are an inspiring person yourself, and thanks a lot for today's session and what you're doing as a whole as well.
Thank you. RK, we have few questions, and these are some
Absolutely.
very interesting questions. So, people, if you have any questions, keep writing them down, and I'll ask RK about these. So, we have one from Shubh. Hey, RK, can you share about is it worth joining an accelerator programs like Antler or Y Combinator?
Absolutely. Any day. So any accelerator programs definitely helps a lot of them. But the only challenge is when you join an accelerator program, they're all sort of bucketed, which means you cannot come up with a valuation for your startup. They're going to give you a valuation which is normalized.
Mm-hmm.
So you might think your startup is worth 5 million, but if their accelerator program valuates every startup at 2 million, then they will valuate your startup at 2 million. So that's the biggest catch. But but any sort of accelerator programs has a lot more network to play with, so it accelerates someone's journey. That's why they're even called an accelerator. And one of my biggest vision is to create an accelerator itself in the US. So we will actually be creating an accelerator end of this year, and that's one place it's not done for money. It's actually done to give back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
But answering
exactly.
your question, yes, it's any day a good choice.
I think we have a few specific questions. So, RK, if you are not able to give these advice, just avoid them, but I'll still read those questions out.
Okay.
Hey Anushkin RK, thanks for sharing this. It was very insightful. I currently am on STEM OPT and I work for Amazon. I am covertly working on an idea that I'm very passionate about. I'm working on it
Mhm.
alone, plan to launch a startup. I will be on H1B from October this year and plan to launch the startup later. Is it possible to launch a startup on H1B while working for Amazon alone? If not, how can I work around that? Is it recruiting an American citizen founder or is Owen the way?
It's a legal advice, so I'm not allowed to give a legal advice. But from where I know, I think there are certain ways of working around on how to be able to run your own startup and work differently. You can even feel concurrent H1Bs, or Owen is a good path to do that as well. So both the options would work. But I would suggest you to speak to an attorney and get it sorted, because this also involves your current firm, which is Amazon. They have to uh, they have to give you their sign off as well. So it's better to just work with them.
Okay.
But start speaking with an immigration attorney.
I mean, there is always a way.
There is always a way. No, there is always a way. One thing that people, when even when people mention it, I'll always tell them when they crib about the immigration system, I always tell them, hey, US has one of the most open immigration system. There is ways and means of doing everything in a ethical, legal, organized fashion. You don't have to cut corners. You don't have to try to be cheeky about it. There is a way of being an entrepreneur and being an employee at the same time. I
Mhm.
didn't know when I came till I started working, but going back, there is a way I would have worked with IBM and ran that company as well. I never knew, which was my ignorance. But there are ways of doing
I have another question.
it.
Uh, how do I get my first clients?
Very interesting. It depends on the idea. I think a lot of times your first clients will not be a problem. The first 10 clients will happen by your network. It's after that is the problem. But first clients generally is whatever your solution that you're providing, look out for the ideal candidate, and 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 just figure out your first client within your friends and family who will cut a slack for you. So
Hmm.
when I started, let's say, a grooming business, pet grooming, like one of the very first ideas, one of the very first pet that we tried was my co-founder's pet. We were like, oh, this is possible. Somebody can come home and clean it. You know? And when I was trying the immigration, one of
Mhm.
my very close friends, immigration is the first thing that we did, because he's very close to me, and he will take a bullet for me, and he is the first one I tried with.
Mhm.
So that is how you sort of start. Working with somebody who's very close to you gives you that confidence, where you can also make a certain mistakes and still be fine with it, because they are not external. You can talk to them and explain them.
So we have another question. What would be your ideal amount in your bank account which would make you stop your full-time job and switch to your startup?
Depends on how much you're ready to spend on yourself. When I was studying, I used to live on $416. So that was my salary. It's exactly $416, and of that, $125 was my rent as well. So you take the 125 off, the rest of the money is what I lived on. But but today I don't think I can survive a day with. So it depends on how much is your requirement. But when it came to me, I definitely did a homework. It's not something that was very impulsive.
Mhm.
My way of looking at it is, hey, I need X dollars to survive, which also includes my education loan, and my rent, my general cost of living. And then I did it saying, hey, if I have to do it for 12 months, what is the number? And I had a 25% buffer to it. And I was like, hey, if I have this number, I'm going to take a leave, and I'm going to pursue my idea. And I thought I'm smart about it. But it only took me 6 months to burn everything and be negative by 200. So life always surprises you, and being an entrepreneur surprises you. So you should be ready for that as well. I think being an entrepreneur, you should have a thick skin. How
Yeah,
much ever you're prepared, you are going to fall through the crack and get hurt and then
yeah,
come back.
yeah. That's fair. We have another question. So, when you transitioned from IBM to starting your company, did you already have something in the pipeline or any backup plans, including visa strategy or lawyers? What would you recommend for someone in a similar situation?
I think good question, because I had my EB1 approved by then. When I decided to be an entrepreneur, I knew my immigration is sorted. I had my EB1 approved, and I've applied for my O1 because the dates weren't current for me. So I applied for an O1 on a firm that I co-own. So which means my immigration status was controlled by me.
Mhm.
Okay. And I did have a certain leverage, right? Because though there are other people who own a part of that firm, they can still hire and fire me, but still, the fundamental idea, or like fundamental company, was still running around me. So I knew nothing is going to happen to my immigration. Only then I took that step. I didn't want to take risk on every front, right? I already took a money risk. I didn't want to take an immigration risk as well. So,
Yeah.
so there I had a certain level of control. control. But when it comes to the ideas, I had multiple things that I wanted to try. So that's why it took me about 12, 18 months to figure out what's the best idea to work and then be able to scale it up later. But I was
Mhm.
trying multiple things. So when it comes to startups, that is how it is going to be. You're going to try something, it's going to fall apart, and then you try another, and then one of them is going to stick really well.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Another question. How do you split equity amongst co-founders?
Be generous. So I think it depends. It generally varies based on what type of firm it is, and also what is the value that each of the co-founders is bringing onto the table, and who is running what. Accordingly, you sort of split it. Uh, So it there is no right or wrong way of doing it. I had been in a startup where I owned 99%.
Hmm.
Okay. And I had been in a startup where I had held only like about 8%. Both the times I was one of the co-founders, but in the one that I owned about 99%, it was literally like running because of me. It is just me. But in the one held about 8%, I'm a very small fragment, or like I'm a part of the puzzle. I'm not the one who's handling the entire zigzag. So it depends on how much value that person is bringing in, and what's the overall structure of it, and you sort of split it accordingly.
Cool. We have time for one more question. Any help by providing roadmap by industry champions on seed idea to growth, students on OPT on a service based startup? So how would you like get an idea and grow it in a service based startup in 1 year?
I think uh, it's a slightly more generic question.
Mhm.
So I'm going to give a slightly generic answer, which
Yeah.
is you have to figure out somebody who has already done phenomenally well, or whom you aspire to become. Okay, work with them, make them a mentor, give them a board, seat on the table. Work with them to understand, hey, I'm pursuing something around the same line.
Mhm.
How do I expand from here? Or what is my ideal roadmap? If somebody comes to me and asks, let's say, I used to run an a marketing firm, or like an immigration firm. So I'll be able to tell them how to start, how to scale, or how to start, stabilize, scale, and expand.
Mhm.
But if somebody comes to me and asks how to run, let's say, a consulting firm, I may not know it because I've never done it. So, but when I wanted to do something on the immigration front, I did work with people who have done phenomenal things here in the space to understand how do I grow this. So you should be more than welcoming to go sit or and sit and network, build that people set of people who'll be able to give you these inputs, and start putting down something together and scale it from there.
Cool. Let's just take one more question. I think this is the last question we have. Uh, it's from Prithviraj. How do I start connecting with people who have the same entrepreneurial mindset, strategies that actually work?
Very interesting. It depends on what type of people that you want to connect with. Let's say if you're looking at connecting with developers, then you go and be in a lot more hackathons. Okay. If let's say you want to connect with public speakers, then you go and be in a lot more conferences. Okay. It depends on what type of person that you're looking for. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. One of my very first co-founder is one of my colleagues whom I used to work with at Amazon, and we're still very close friends. So he still lives in India. He came here 3 months ago. He stayed with me at my place for like 3 weeks. That's how close I built my relationship with my co-founder. So it's about finding somebody who's comfortable to be around. So look out for places where these type of people would hang out, and figure out who's the one who shares the perfect wavelength with you,
Yeah.
or figure out the perfect wavelength guy who has that basic skill set, and sort of grow
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. 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 Correct. Nice. So I think this is the perfect segue to how do we connect with RK?
I'm very accessible on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Nice.
And so LinkedIn, Instagram, and also I'm available on the community.
Mhm.
on the Open Atlas community, so you can connect with me in all three places. And probably I'll ask Anushk or Anu to share my LinkedIn, Instagram URLs here, so you can connect with me there. Or you can also I'm also available in the Open Atlas community. Everybody start being a part of the community, and I should be more than available there, and be able to take any questions or give my 2 cents on anything that you guys want. But just to add there, the way I even understood immigration is by being in different communities. Any immigration community you can think of, I would have definitely been a part of it, at least for a very short period of time.
Yeah, cool. So I guess thank you, RK. Thank you for this amazing session. We all learned a lot. And Anu, if you don't mind, can you share RK's LinkedIn and Instagram in the main chat here?
I will be sharing it in the chat with you directly,
Okay,
and you
I'll
can
I'll
probably
share
share
that
it
here.
with the.
Yes, cool. And guys, everyone should join the community. We also have the recording of the session. I missed the recording by first 1.5 minutes because I forgot to click the record button. But rest, the entire session is with us. So we'll be sharing the recording of the session to you and everyone who registered. And please also join the community as well. So if you have any questions for RK, for me, or other people who are thriving in their fields, join our community. I'll be sharing all of the links here in just a second as soon as I have them. So you guys can join, ask questions there, and we would love to help you out.
And let me also sign off. Thanks, Anushk, for this whole webinar, and thanks for everybody here. I know a lot of people are coming, joining from India as well. It's really late on a weekend. That's by itself a lot of motivation. And I'm deeply humbled that you guys made it to the webinar. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you, RK. Thank you for being an amazing host slash interviewee.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Guys, I'll be sharing the link. Okay, so we have the links here. Let me just copy it and paste it. So this is the LinkedIn link. Next, I'm sharing the community link. So you can join our community through this link. This is the community link. And I'm also sharing RK's Instagram link. I'll push RK to upload more videos there. So you don't have to wait for another webinar to hear like RK stories and how he built things. Okay. So yeah, all three links are in the main chat. People can use those links. And thank you, RK, for joining. You can absolutely hop off. I know I have kept you long.
Not a problem at all. Such a delight to meet everyone here, and such a delight to speak with you as well, Anushka. And like I said, you are inspiring. Thank you.
Likewise,
Bye
bye
bye.
bye. Cool guys. I'll be hanging out here for like 2 more minutes. If you guys have any question for me, I'm here to answer. Otherwise, I'll end this in 2 minutes.
Anushk, you can remind them about the recording and that we will be sharing the links to their email as well.
Yes, so all of these links would be shared to your email IDs as well, and the recording of the session would be also sent out to everyone. Uh, Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll be hosting webinars like these with industry experts, people who are doing very well with themselves. So, and I'll also make sure the webinar timings are better for people who are joining from India uh, from next webinars. But thank you everyone for joining.